Story. Am I the Omaha for not telling my dad he isn't getting the inheritance he's expecting? My mother died when I was 16. My dad married another woman 2 years later. The transition was abrupt, like ripping off a bandage that hadn't fully healed, leaving raw emotions exposed beneath. My grandparents, my dad's parents, hate my stepmother. I really don't like her either. She moved into our house and immediately began removing my mother's photos, replacing them with her own family portraits. Each disappeared frame felt like losing my mom all over again. Even after my half siblings were born, my grandparents never warmed up to her. At family gatherings, the tension hangs thick in the air, creating invisible barriers across dinner tables and during holiday celebrations. My stepmother's forced smiles and my grandparents' cold politeness have become a familiar dance. My grandparents are quite wealthy. Their estate spans multiple properties, investment portfolios, and generations of careful financial planning. My father has been banking on this inheritance for a while. He has even been not paying into his retirement because he's so sure that he will inherit the millions. His confidence borders on arrogance as he makes grand plans for money that isn't his yet. I just found out on Saturday that I'm getting the majority of my grandparents' estate. The revelation came during a private meeting at their elegant home, where family portraits spanning decades watch over conversations like silent witnesses. My father is getting a token amount of $50,000, so he can't dispute it. The number seems small against the backdrop of their wealth, yet it carries the weight of years of disappointment and disapproval. My grandparents made me promise not to give out any money after, and I intend to keep my word. Their eyes held mine as they explained their decision, a mixture of trust in me and determination to prevent their hard-earned wealth from falling into what they consider the wrong hands. The responsibility feels heavy on my shoulders, a secret that grows more burdensome with each passing day. But I do feel really guilty that my father just spends his money as it's coming in because he's relying on money he won't get. I watch him make extravagant purchases, planning expensive vacations, and deferring important financial decisions. Each swipe of his credit card feels like another nail in his financial coffin. I also found out my dad is in a lot of debt. The truth emerged through overheard conversations and glimpses of past due notices in the mail. His spending habits have created a house of cards, built on the foundation of an inheritance that will never come. The debt looms over him like a shadow he doesn't yet see, while I stand by with knowledge that could change everything. Sunday dinners at my grandparents' house have become exercises in restraint. I sit at their formal dining table, watching my father joke about his future plans while my grandparents exchange knowing glances. My stepmother talks about renovations they're planning, and my half-siblings chatter about the expensive schools they might attend. The weight of their misplaced expectations settles in my stomach like lead. Each day that passes adds another layer to this complex web of family loyalty, personal integrity, and financial responsibility. The promise I made to my grandparents echoes in my mind, even as I watch my father dig himself deeper into financial trouble. His future crumbles while I hold the truth that could reshape his present decisions. Am I the home or not? Comment 1, not the whole. Your grandparents should be honest with your dad. By not telling him, they are setting you up for a lot of drama after they die, and that's not fair to you. Your dad shouldn't be spending recklessly and counting on inheritance money to come in and fix everything. That's ridiculously irresponsible. Everyone in this situation is an asshole other than you. Comment 2, not the hay. Your grandparents know what's up. It probably has a bit to do with the stepmother, but most likely your grandparents know what your dad's like with money, and they don't want their hard-earned and saved cash going to someone who will throw it away on dumb shit and be broke again in no time. Your father's irresponsibility is not your responsibility in this instance. Story, am I the a-hole for telling my brother he got exactly what he deserved when he pushed his girlfriend away for being a gold digger? My brother is a very hardworking man, and at 27, he is now very wealthy and doing well for himself. His success story reads like a tech startup fairy tale. Late nights coding in his garage transformed into a multi-million dollar software company within 5 years. The same determination that built his fortune, however, seems to have created walls around his heart. He's been with this girl for 6 months, and throughout the time we have gotten close because we both like hair, makeup, and shopping. Our weekend trips to the mall became a ritual, trying on clothes and laughing over coffee. She brought a warmth to our family dynamic that I hadn't even realized was missing. I never knew there was anything wrong with the relationship except when she texted me last week saying she would love to hang out, but thinks it'll be inappropriate because her and my brother broke up. Her message arrived like a bolt from the blue, shattering the image of their seemingly perfect relationship. She said she was sick and tired of auditioning to prove she was with him for the right reasons. The pain in her words was palpable, even through text. She went on to detail a pattern of manipulation that made my stomach turn. My brother, it seemed, had turned the relationship into an ongoing series of tests. She described how he would leave out his bank statements on their bed and getting upset when she picked it up, treating natural curiosity as evidence of ulterior motives. He orchestrated elaborate traps, taking her to high-end restaurants he requested and deliberately leaving his wallet at home to make her pay the bill. The final straw came from his complete refusal to give gifts while accepting expensive presents from her, a gaming console and new rims for his car. I was shocked, so I had to hear my brother's perspective. The confidence in his voice as he confirmed everything chilled me. He told me everything she said was true and that there's nothing wrong with making sure his girlfriend is with him for the right reasons. His words carried the rehearsed quality of someone who had justified their actions to themselves many times over. He described watching through the door she discovered the bank statements, his suspicion growing as she glanced at the papers. The restaurant test came next, a $500 bill at an establishment he chose. Watching her face fall as he patted his empty pockets, her reaction to the astronomical bill, he insisted, proved his point. I asked him if he thinks her being an elementary school teacher could have contributed to her being upset at a $500 bill at a restaurant he wanted to go to, and he said no. A dismissal of her financial reality showed a blindness that wealth had created. The fact that she spent months of savings on gifts for him while he gave nothing in return seemed lost on him entirely. He confronted her and said he thinks she's with him for his money. So she said, let me do us both a favor, and dumped him and blocked him. Her final act of self-respect seemed to only reinforce his paranoia. He's upset about the gold-digging bitch. And when I laughed, he called me an asshole. He said, I would never understand what it's like being a rich man and being used, and I get that concern, but I told him if he thinks any woman will be okay with his tests and auditions, he's delusional as hell. If he doesn't want to be used for his money, he should start dating people as wealthy as him or leave lower income people alone if he's not going to be genuine in his relationships, unless they pass his test. His wealth had built a fortress of suspicion around him, turning potential love into a series of trials no one could possibly pass. The irony of pushing away genuine connection in fear of false ones seemed completely lost on him. Am I a hole or not? Comment 1. Only asshole here is the brother. Also, where does she teach that she can afford game consoles, rims, and $500 dinners? Clearly, she's really responsible with her money, something you'd think the brother would appreciate if he weren't such a shallow asshat. Comment 2, not the AHOL. It kind of sounds like he's a gold digger, TB. Testing her would be taking her out to eat and getting separate tabs, not making her pay for everything. And leaving his bank statements on the bed and getting pissy that she looks. Hello? Everyone looks at papers just left on their bed. Heck, all of her reactions are normal and he's just acting like a brat. Ooh. Story. Am I the a-hole for speaking Italian to my GF's rude Italian American family and embarrassing them? Recently, I started dating a girl. She's great and I love her so much. And we've been building something special over these past few months, sharing quiet moments and genuine laughter that makes the world feel lighter. I met her family a few nights ago for dinner. She warned me that the male side of her family is very big into being macho, into testing the boys the women date, and are very big on taking pride in their Italian ancestry. I think besides the grandfather, however, they were almost all born in Bergen County, NJ, but whatever, it's nice to take pride in one's heritage. The family home screams suburban New Jersey with its pristine lawn and SUVs in the driveway, yet the interior was decorated like a shrine to Italian culture. Maps of Italy, decorative grapevines, and enough live, laugh, love signs in Italian to fill a Hobby Lobby. Long story short, at dinner, they kept making jokes at my expense. The comments flew across the red checkered tablecloth like arrows, each aimed with practiced precision. They targeted my height, my beard, my shaved head. Nothing too cruel, but death by 1,000 cuts. They tried making fun of my IT job too, but stopped once I told them my income. The sudden shift in their tone at the mention of money only highlighted the superficiality of their judgments. The sauce-laden pasta grew cold as her older brother kept pushing things, giving me exceptional amounts of shit for playing lacrosse in HS. His voice dripped with disdain as he declared it a sport for prissy rich kids and not manly like football or baseball. The grandfather watched silently from the head of the table, his weathered hands folded over his napkin, eyes taken in every interaction. Her brother ended his rant by saying, "Hey, we're just a big Italian family. We're loud and tell it how we see it." And all the family except my girlfriend laughed, and the moment hung in the air like garlic on breath, and something in me snapped. So I, for the next minute, responded to everything they said in Italian. The words flowed smoothly from my childhood years spent in Naples, where my father's job had taken our family. My girlfriend buried her head in shame. The grandfather's eyes lit up with genuine delight, and everyone else exchanged confused glances before admitting they didn't speak Italian. The silence that followed felt electric. I replied, "Then don't use your Italian heritage as an excuse to behave poorly when you can't even speak the language." The grandfather's wrinkled face broke into a knowing smile as he nodded approvingly. The men's faces reddened like overripe tomatoes. They got mad, but the grandfather told them all I was right and to be quiet. His authority, earned through actual connection to the homeland they claimed, silenced their protest. My girlfriend isn't mad, just ashamed, not of my response, but of her family's behavior. After 2 days of mortification, she admitted she found my response both justified and hilarious. Her sister reports that all the men are furious. Their performed machismo wounded by someone who actually connects with the culture they use as a shield for bad behavior. Backstory: due to my dad's job, we lived in Italy for 3 years when I was younger, so I speak Italian almost fluently. Those years taught me that real Italian culture values hospitality and respect far more than performative masculinity. The grandfather has since invited me for coffee, presumably to share stories of the homeland that his children and grandchildren only know through Goodfellas quotes and frozen pizzas. Am I the a-hole or not? Comment 1, not the a-hole, they were being jerks. As someone who has also been to Italy a bunch of times, I know there is a big difference between Italian Americans and real Italians. Real Italians are not loud in public or call it how they see it. In fact, that is how you spot an American tourist in Italy. Comment 2, LOL, not the a-hole. The granddad knows it. He probably half rolls his eyes every time they say they are Italian when he knows he's the last speaker. You shut them down in the most epic/appropriate way possible. Your girlfriend should be proud, flaunting that her boyfriend is more Italian than any of them.